Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be hailing from. This is Red Hat Enterprise Linux Presents, episode number 70. And if you noticed, we're actually live and in person.
I know, we're never literally next to each other. Here we are, look at this.
I think this is only the second time this has ever happened on RHEL Presents. But we're really excited. Don't know if you can tell or not, but we are live from the show floor. We've been working on this for, 2 months? Just to be able to come live from the floor. But I've got my buddy Nate here. We're going to be talking about what's going on at the event. We've got some special guests that are going to join us. And then we'll talk a little bit about why we're here and some of the different offerings and some of the different technologies that we bring to bear with our partners over at AWS. So with that said, Nate, any initial thoughts?
I don't know, I've been trapped in this booth the whole time. So,
right.
I hear there's a whole bunch of talk about AI and stuff. Have you heard about this weird new thing called AI?
Is that the thing that helps me drive my car, or is that the thing that helps me play against StarCraft?
It's the thing that helps you generate characters for your Savage Worlds campaign.
That sounds about right. Yeah, we still need to do a RHEL D&D campaign live or something. We'll figure that out. But you're right, Nate and I have been confined to this 16 by 12 box. So to help us with that, we reached over across the BUs and we grabbed our buddy Stu Miniman to join us as a guest, and he's going to they actually let him roam free, so we're going to bring Stu on and talk to us a little bit about the keynotes and what's been going on conference wide.
We got to check on Stu's leash.
Right.
Here you go, Steve.
All right. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Eric.
For sure. Why don't you give us a minute and introduce yourself and what you do at Red Hat, then we'll talk about the conference.
Awesome. I'm super honored to be on, RHEL Presents. I actually do, so Stu Miniman, I'm a senior director at Red Hat. I've been at Red Hat 3 years. This is my 10th reInvent. The only ones I didn't do was the original one, which I did watch remote. And in 2018, I actually had a conflict. But I've been a speaker at the show. I was an analyst for a decade. I watched this go from little fold-up tables in gaming companies and all this real cool stuff, and got some of my first hoodies because I've got a closet full of hoodies, but I'm still not a developer. I'm an infrastructure guy by background.
Amen.
Networking, virtualization, work my way into cloud. I do have my check mark. I'm CCP certified and everything like that, but I'm on the OpenShift BU and helped Eric when he actually launched this live stream. I have my own executive live stream called In the Clouds. And I'm super excited. We actually have a special episode on December 14th. We will have Red Hat CEO Matt Hicks on the program. So if you go to red.ht/intheclouds, you can find it. We just have a YouTube channel. It goes on the Red Hat and OpenShift YouTube channel. I've had lots of external guests. I had Deepak Singh from AWS on the program last year. And yeah, as Eric said, I get to roam around because this is the Super Bowl for our industry, right? So the good news is I know thousands of people at this show. The challenging thing is I know thousands of people at this show, and so many people, I still get people coming up and hey, I've seen your interviews that you've done. I had the pleasure, I interviewed Andy Jassy before, many Amazon, lots of customers, practitioners, and Red Hat was one of my clients before I joined. Actually, the first executive interview we did with Red Hat was at this show. It was the Shesh Madani back in 2013, back before Kubernetes existed. He's actually our chief product officer now, so really good. So I need to do what Amazon did at the show, Eric. I've talked for a little bit, but I haven't mentioned AI, so now I'm going to talk for the next 2 hours and tell you about the wonderful future of how artificial intelligence will completely transform our market and landscape, all of your lives, your children's lives, and we will see if we will have a future generation after that if the robots let us.
Well, we've got some robots back here we'll talk about in a minute, and they haven't attacked anybody just yet, but one question about In the Clouds.
Yeah.
Was that a paid sponsor spot?
No. In the Clouds is come on. We are collaborators in the community here. So we keep it all going. All our guests come on for free. It's free to watch and everything. I can probably get you some OpenShift swag if you need.
That'll work. I'll wear that to the next RHEL QBR.
Do on In the Cloud. So it's really good. But I was listening to Swami's keynote this morning, and Swami made a comment that kind of resonated with me. He's like, look, yes, some of this stuff is really new, but like Amazon's been working on AI for 25 years. And there's so many things I look at. Everything that we do in the OpenShift product line builds on the decades that RHEL has done out there. I actually had the pleasure, I worked with Red Hat, like when Red Hat Advanced Server 2.1 came out, just to, my cred there, even though I have to admit, I've never touched a Linux machine. I had engineers that were doing that stuff and everything, but I worked in the open source communities, go to lots of KubeCons and things like that, but Red Hat has also been working in AI for a while. We've got things like our friends at Ansible have Ansible Lightspeed, which allows you to create playbooks and everything. But on the OpenShift side, I've been talking to customers for years about AI running on their environments, using these things. It's like, I need to, data's super important and I want to leverage it. And our customers, oftentimes they're like, hey, we love Amazon, but there's certain things I'm going to keep in my data center. Or, hey, I need to do inferencing at the edge. Of course, you're going to use your data where it is. Data gravity's tough. The laws of physics. We're waiting. One of the things, we're owned by IBM, and my joke for years has been, certain things are asked questions, and I'm like, well, there are these laws of physics, and until the IBM research team allows us to go faster than the speed of light or transmit data, things like that, some kind of teleportation, we're kind of stuck with the certain laws of physics.
Well, we need to work on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm really excited even. One of the announcements we had this week is, if you're not familiar, Watson X is IBM's offering in the generative AI space. That actually runs on OpenShift. And what the recent announcement is, IBM announced that will also be able to run in AWS. And the announcement this week is, when it runs in AWS, it will actually run on the Red Hat OpenShift service on AWS or ROSA. So we've had lots of IBM SaaS offerings. We have lots of customers running on our offering in the cloud. Our biggest customer happens to be IBM. So, that's a really cool one.
Gotcha. Yeah, so, AWS reInvent 2023 is going on right now.
Yeah.
We've got, 2 more days? I don't know. Everything's been a blur at this point. So
I'm going to go sit down because my voice is already giving out on me. Monday, I was up for 21 hours. Yesterday, I was only up for 19 hours. I am getting a decent amount of sleep, but it is exhausting. I want to squeeze every moment and every interaction out of this, but, there's only so much you can geek out and be social and do everything. Luckily, I don't know about you. Friday's going to be a quiet day.
I've got my flights back to Kansas City on Friday, and it's nice to be in a position where you are encouraged not to interact with others.
Yeah.
But with that amazing sales pitch, I was actually going to ask, why should people come to reInvent 2024?
Oh my gosh. So, this cloud thing, we think it has legs and we think there's lots going on. So
it's a fad. It'll go away.
Look, I have to say, it is one of the things I love is to really hear from other practitioners out there as to what they are doing. And this is a great way. There, 60, 70,000 people here. Yes, there's a wonderful vendor ecosystem, and we want you to come talk to us too, but there's so many of your peers that you can learn from. Many of them give sessions. I love many of our speaking sessions. We've had customers sharing their stories there, and that's something, I tell you, I worked with all of these vendors, and Red Hat was probably the best of everyone I worked with, just because our nature of being community focused and driven on open source, those customers are often willing to share much because it's not some proprietary thing that they can't tell anybody out. And a big shift that I've seen in the last 20 years is used to, if I went and talked to a big, New York City bank, you're under triple NDA and you can't tell them anything. Now all those banks get together in New York City a few times a year and they put out minutes as to the things they're working on together. And AI is one of those things where, yes, my corporate data I need to keep there, but I need to be able to learn from everything we have. It's kind of like, with Salesforce. The Salesforce product gets better for the thousands and thousands of people that are in it and the enhancements that they have, and the same thing was going to happen with AI. So, 2024, I'm sure, it's going to be crazy. Book your hotel early, break in your shoes early, There's so many things you need to do, and try to stay in one building per day if you can, because, again, it is a marathon, and there's so much that I haven't seen, but, I usually every 24 hours I'm here, I'm like, yeah, that was a good week.
That sounds about right. So yeah, I mean, it spans what, 5 different resorts. I mean, this room itself, there's probably 10 to 20,000 people that have come through here in the last hour and 10 minutes. And I mean, there's booze, there's people, there's sessions, there's labs. You can even go get AWS certified. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about reInvent 2024, start planning for that now. I mean, this planning for this event starts in the summer. Probably earlier for some teams, but it is a blast. The energy here is amazing. Well, Stu, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day to talk to the RHEL team. In fact, it was largely due to Stu's help that we got the RHEL Presents show up and running. It started out as actually an OpenShift event, and then we moved it over to the RHEL YouTube channel and revamped it, and you know, we've got shiny new graphics and bumpers, and so you know, I think RHEL Presents is 3.5 years old now, and it's really exploded.
Eric, that's awesome. As I laid out at the beginning, OpenShift can't live anywhere if it's not for RHEL. So absolutely huge collaboration. It's one of the first things I talk to customers about is like, well, hey, you know, containerization, Kubernetes is kind of table stakes these days. What's your difference? And I said, one of the things, well, the reason you buy RHEL is for the trust, the security, compliance, certification ecosystem. All of those things is what we've built on and brings us along. So yeah, no, awesome to collaborate. Thank you, Eric. It's been a pleasure talking to the people here and remote and everything. And do, if you can, check out In the Clouds on the OpenShift and Red Hat channels. I'm always looking next year for guests and topics that people want to have, and I'm super easy to find on the interwebs.
Awesome. Thank you, Stu.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to have to talk to my agent about Stu promoting his own show on our channel. I feel like that should have been a paid deal.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Like, we don't give away free advertising here, right?
We shouldn't. We could buy better mics and cameras and everything with it. I could see this being a good business.
You might be onto something.
So, you know, of course, Stu had some amazing insights into the future of the industry, into what's going on with AWS reInvent, what OpenShift and what Red Hat in general are doing with in partnership with IBM and in partnership with AWS. But I don't know about you, but that's not the reason I go to events. I mean, the main reason I come to these events is for the swag.
Yeah, the swag is good. And if you come to the Red Hat booth, you can get a red hat.
And if for some reason you're watching us live from Vegas, we are in booth 364, and we've got a bunch of these hats. You can come get them. I call them the Community Edition fedora because they're not exactly what employees get, but they look pretty darn close, and I kind of like them a bit better.
Not quite like the original, but they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
So there's literally thousands of shirts, hats, hoodies, stickers being given away at probably over 1,000 booths. But I was thinking we might want somebody who's not quite so biased about Red Hat booths. And
you want like an outside opinion?
Yeah, an outside opinion.
Like an average word on the street thing?
Yeah.
We should do that. We should wander around and ask people. Not even here, just like the streets in New York. Have you heard of Red Hat Enterprise Linux? How do you think that would go?
I was thinking something a little bit closer to home, maybe like someone in our booth.
Okay.
So we've actually hired a company called Picture Mosaic to come in and do robot sketches. So basically, you come in, you take a selfie, and then using robotics and AI and all the buzzwords, it'll actually sketch a picture of you. And so we've had our friend here, Katie.
Hi.
Would you like to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. Hi, my name is Katie Schwartz. I work for Picture Mosaic. We're excited to be here at the expo with Red Hat. We have our sketchbots. So what you do is you come over, you take a selfie on the iPad, and then our robots sketch you. It's super fun, and it's looked really, really, really cool with the Red Hat hats on. So anyone who's here, I hope they come take a picture with their hat on.
Yeah, we've learned that they really like hats, glasses, and facial hair.
Yes, so nothing that I currently have. So I won't look good, but everybody else will.
So of course, the sketchbots, the swag, great reason to come visit our booth. But what about the energy? I mean, we've seen literally thousands of people.
Yeah.
And I think we hit about 230, 240 that have done sketches here and is going up on a virtual mural. But what about the energy?
That's right, yes. So we have the digital mosaic as well, and I think everybody is in a really good mood. The energy is great. We're laughing a lot. We're having having a lot of fun, and I think most people are happy with their sketch, and if not, they're finding the humor in it. But everyone seems to be having a great time, and we're having a lot of fun at the Red Hat booth for sure.
So what kind of interactions have you had with people that have come into the booth?
I think the coolest part is just meeting everybody from all over the world, and they're really interested in the robots, and they're really interested in the company as well. So it seems to be working out perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, last year I think there's 35 to 40,000 people here. This year there's 65,000 people registered.
Wow.
Last I heard, attendance was well over 60,000.
Amazing.
And I think next year they're going to try and go a little bit bigger. So I mean, it's just a crazy event, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And of course, you've been all swagged up.
Yes, I have I have a shirt under as well. I think everything is perfect, except what I hear is you can't get an Uber because there's so many people. But otherwise it's going perfectly.
Awesome. Well, thank you for stopping by, Katie.
Thanks.
Really
And
appreciate it.
Thanks for hanging out with the Sketchbots all week.
For sure. So if you haven't been to a Red Hat booth before, we usually bring in something cool, something fun, like the Sketchbots. Of course, there's swag. One of the other cool things at the event is the mini theater, which we're actually streaming from right now. In fact, I haven't checked the chat, but we sound good, we look good.
Everybody says it's good, so speak up if you're in chat.
But I mean, there's probably a dozen seats here. We've got our big screen behind us. In fact, we've had a few presentations, mini theater presentations, right here from the booth. So we've talked about things like converting to RHEL. We've talked about why you'd want to use Ansible automation platform alongside of AWS. So a lot of cool mini presentations. We've actually got over here to our left a couple of demo stations, and we've got experts from all the major products from RHEL. I mean, if we're the RHEL experts, then we might be in trouble. But
I mean, what else is there though?
well,
yeah,
apparently
we have
we've
other
got this
stuff, don't we?
Ansible automation thing.
This is RHEL Presents. We can't.
Oh, that's right. We already gave out one free advertisement. There's
we have
other
other
products.
really cool stuff. Yeah, you should look into.
But
you know.
that kind of brings us to the next question of why in the world are we here? I mean, does Red Hat really like this whole cloud thing? I think
we
it's
do.
a fad that goes away. But
So look, you can run RHEL wherever you want to run RHEL. I mean, as long as it's on a supported architecture, right? Like you can't go run it on your Raspberry Pi. Although, if engineering's watching, I would really love to run RHEL on my Raspberry Pi. I know you've never heard that request before, but let's get on that. Anyway, but yeah, RHEL in the cloud is definitely a thing. If you're on premises and you want to get to the cloud, and you're in the cloud and you don't like the distribution you're on and you're familiar with RHEL, absolutely, run RHEL in the cloud. There's lots of ways to do it, lots of ways to pay for it, lots of ways to customize it. So absolutely, get in there and do it.
well, you've had some experience with our cloud environment.
A little.
How much difference is it running a virtual or physical RHEL instance versus running that in the cloud?
I mean, from a RHEL perspective, almost nothing. Sometimes it's different about where you get your software from. It's from us, or it's from your cloud provider instead of directly from us, depending how you subscribe your system. But management-wise, it's all pretty identical. The big difference is how you choose to pay for RHEL. You can pay your cloud provider, or you can pay us. So you can leverage those discounts and whatnot you get through your cloud provider, or you can pay directly to Red Hat.
Well, and talking to folks about some of our cloud offerings, that's actually one of the biggest advantages to running RHEL on AWS is if you've got an enterprise agreement with AWS, you've got that committed spend, you've got that level of you've got a number that you got to hit each year to get a discounted rate. One of the nice things is if you're running RHEL or Ansible Automation Platform or one of our other market offerings, you can actually charge that to your committed spend and get that discount while still paying for RHEL, while still getting all the perks and benefits of having a RHEL subscription, things like our support, things like being able to work with our consulting teams, things like our predictable release cadence. I mean, that's one of the most amazing parts.
You forgot Insights.
Oh, yeah. I didn't forget. So if John Spinks is watching, I didn't forget about Insights. That's one of the great parts about running RHEL anywhere, and especially if you're in a hybrid environment where you've got physical, virtual, maybe one or multiple clouds, although we're at reInvent, so there are no other clouds, right?
Sure.
But yeah, running Red Hat Insights, that comes with it. So just a lot of reasons to run RHEL, not just in your local data center, but in the cloud as well. So we mentioned bring your own subscription. So if you've got a contract with Red Hat, you can continue to use that. You just subscribe those systems to the same account, whether they're local or AWS. We've got the committed spend programs. There's a third one that I'm forgetting. I didn't write it down. It'll come back to me in a minute.
Which ones did you cover? Bring your own subscription?
BYOS. Pay as you go. That's the other one.
Yeah. You
pay
missed
as
the
go.
obvious one.
Right. In fact, we actually met a customer yesterday. This was so cool. They're like, we don't care about doing package updates on our systems because we tear them down and we rebuild them using this really cool thing called Image Builder.
Yeah. Have you heard of this thing?
Maybe once or twice.
Has anybody
in
else
passing.
heard of this thing?
And Terry, if you're watching, hi there. So Image Builder, we've actually got a couple of different ways to deploy. Actually, when looking at the cloud, we've got 3 different ways that you can deploy RHEL. First is the Amazon Marketplace offering. So if you go and say, I want to spin up an EC2 instance, you can actually spin it up through the marketplace. There's RHEL 8, there's RHEL 9. In fact, I think even some of our EUS versions are starting to show up in the marketplace. So if you want to run 8.6, we're up to 8.7 now. So if you want to run 8.6 or 8.4, you can actually spin up EUS instances as well. So you can deploy it right from the marketplace. You can use Cloud Init to further customize your systems. That's another way to go. I'm sure you can build custom EC2 instances like from an ISO. I've never really tried that approach though.
It's more difficult from an ISO, but you can definitely output an image from Image Builder and put that in. That's probably easier. You can install local and then make the image a cloud image, but why? You've got Image Builder.
Right, and that's one of the easiest and quickest ways to get started with RHEL on AWS, and we've had multiple episodes on this topic. I mean, especially since 9.2 released in the spring, you can even produce RHEL images with certification profiles built in. So if you work with PCI DSS, HIPAA, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some others, but if you've got a RHEL system that needs to be deployed in a medical environment, HIPAA is going to be very important.
Or government, or any high security regulated industry. Yeah.
Right. And you can actually build those into your Image Builder images using OpenSCAP. So what's nice about that, and I should have pulled up Image Builder. Maybe Nate could pull that up real quick. Actually, no, we're mirroring my own screen, so we can't do that.
You want it to show on the stream or what?
Right, yeah.
That'll be more interesting.
Yeah, because we'd have to switch. It's okay.
You've all seen Image Builder. If you haven't, just go look at Image Builder.
Yeah, you can go out to lab.redhat.com and try it for yourself. Sorry, we're kind of doing the show off the cuff, so. But that's what happens when you go live on the floor. But if you use Image Builder, there's 2 different variations. There is the RHEL Image Builder, which is built into the web console, so you can run that anywhere. So if you've got a utility box, I know as a former sysadmin, we usually had a system that maybe had like a wiki, like MediaWiki, for storing team documentation. One of those servers that kind of sits off to the side. You can actually install Image Builder. It's called Composer. That's what it is underneath. That ties into either the command line or the web console. I love the web console.
The web console is great. But it's great. It's also great that the web console makes a blueprint that you can also then modify with the command line. There's none of this pick one or the other, right? It's awesome the way that works.
And with the full suite of API calls, you can actually automate a lot of your builds. So if you want a dev environment that frequently has all the patches in it, you could schedule a cron job for 2 a.m. on Saturday. Or sorry, not cron jobs. We're moving to systemd timers.
Oh, right. It's a systemd timer now.
Yeah. So you can use systemd timers to run a job every Saturday at 2 a.m. or something and rebuild those images using nothing but maybe an Ansible playbook that uses Image Builder API calls to rebuild those images on a set schedule. So you can have the latest and greatest all the time with all your packages.
Did you say every Saturday? Are you going to update your systems every Saturday?
I want my dev environment images to update while I'm not sitting there in the office waiting for it.
Now I understand why you were stressed out as a sysadmin.
Yeah, I update dev on Saturdays. No, said no sysadmin ever. But then the third option is using the using Insights Image Builder. So we mentioned Red Hat Insights. It's a hosted platform. It's a really great tool for sort of retroactively monitoring your environment. It's not minute by minute, mind you. It usually scans your system about once a day.
Yeah, it's not a monitoring tool. It's a
not a monitoring tool, but definitely think of it as a 24/7 augmentation for your systems administrator team. I've talked to sysadmins who nowadays will log in every morning and check to make sure that there's no advisor alerts, no vulnerabilities that need to be fixed. To check the cost management tool, especially with like AWS, you don't want to run into a situation where you've got a system that's maybe a T3 extra large, and all you really need is like a T1 micro.
Resource optimization is, I mean, it's. I was just having a conversation with somebody yesterday. Getting your cloud spend to the right number is the new like high efficiency AC unit and power consumption models for your data center, right?
Yep.
Now it's I don't care what HVAC unit you're running. I don't care what how many watts your power supplies are. It's, am I on the right instance? And that's all you have to worry about to get that number down, and that's great.
Yeah.
And resource optimization helps you get that done.
So Red Hat Insights has probably over 20 some odd services now just for RHEL. They support our other major products as well. But back to our original point was one of those services is Image Builder. And like Nate said, nowadays you can import and export blueprints. So one of the things that I'm trying to push our partners for, and the Image Builder team as well, is what if instead of a doc or a custom image for maybe like Oracle databases or GitLab, wouldn't it be nice to, instead of having a PDF that you download and run through all these steps over and over, what if instead you go to the vendor website, you pull down the latest version of their playbook and run it on RHEL 9.3, and you get the latest version of whatever your workload is, and it's already pre-tuned for that workload. Then all you got to do is add in some users, some SSH keys, maybe add in a few extra packages like Vim, because everyone needs Vim.
Everyone needs Vim.
But you can import and export those blueprints. You can run them as needed. And from a cloud perspective, with Image Builder, either the RHEL Image Builder or the Insights Image Builder, you can actually log into your AWS account and have those templates deployed directly to your account. So it makes it really easy. You don't have to leave Insights. You can actually start spinning up infrastructure right from the Image Builder tool, and then connect to your system. And you don't really even need to touch the EC2 console.
True. I don't know what else to add to that. It's the new world, right?
Right,
it's
right.
The new world.
Yeah, and I know Summit 2024 is coming up here in a few months, and we've got some really cool features that we're hoping lands in time. That's really going to change how we go about installing RHEL. And in fact, just a couple of weeks ago, Into the Terminal, we talked about how to get RHEL.
We did. I think that might have actually been. Well, yeah, okay. It was before Thanksgiving, so yes, a couple of weeks.
Right.
I'm losing track of time. There was the holiday, and now we're in Vegas. And what day is it again? Today's Wednesday, right?
The 37th of October.
Okay. But Eric, this is RHEL Presents, and I know you've got that rule, right? That there's always going to be a demo.
Right.
You've got a demo, right? Should we get to the demo? Because we're about halfway through the stream.
Yeah.
You need time for that, right?
Nah.
No. Okay. So I'm gonna. Well, go ahead.
Why don't you check the chat, and we'll take a minute for questions.
I'll get ready to move you to your demo then.
Yeah, let's handle some questions, and I'll kind of set the groundwork for our demo. So one of the things that we're really focused on right now is come May 31st and June 30th of 2024, which is only 214 days away. I know that because I had to update my mini theater talk for later today. But one of the things that's really important is that between May and June of next year, the enterprise Linux ecosystem is going to look a lot different. In fact, one of my buddies in the solutions architecture world calls it Techmageddon 2024. And we've got CentOS Linux going end of life. Of course, CentOS Linux 7 is the last remaining major version of CentOS Linux. We've got CentOS Stream 8, which was the first major version going end of builds. We've got RHEL 6 that is leaving the ELS offering. RHEL 7 is actually going end of maintenance and will require an ELS subscription around that time. RHEL 8, in fact, is going into full support and is going into its 5-year maintenance phase. The only one that's not changing between May 31st and June 30th of next year is actually RHEL 9, which has got a couple more years of full support left. So if you're building out new workloads, I highly encourage you to go to RHEL 9. It's not all that much different than RHEL 8 because of our 3-year release cadence for major versions. So we've got a lot that's changing over the next year. And we're going to be talking a lot after the first of the year about in-place upgrades, strategies for upgrading. When do you want to rip and replace versus when do you want to do this in place, or when do you want to retire applications? So I know that we've got Bob Hanlon and Bob Mader have been on the show to talk about in-place upgrades before, so look forward to that in the new year. But meantime, probably the biggest concern that I've heard from most systems administrators is we've been on RHEL 7 for close to a decade. I mean, RHEL 7's almost 10 years old. It's like 9.5. And we've got all these production workloads, all these things that need to be addressed before June 30th of 2024. So what do we do? So you've got that same question. You've got these concerns about, well, do I do an in-place conversion? Do I rip and replace? Can I retire any of these CentOS 7 workloads? And so what Red Hat engineering has been heavily focused on in the past couple of years is our Convert2RHEL utility. So Convert2RHEL can actually take RHEL-like systems, so CentOS Linux as an example, and convert them in place to RHEL 7. And the advantage is you don't have to spin up additional servers. You don't have to order duplicate hardware in order to do an in-place or to do a rip and replace. Instead, you can do a conversion in place. So all of your cron jobs, all of your users, all of your workloads, all of your data, everything stays the same. The only thing that changes is the underlying packages. And for the most part, those packages, the only thing that's really changing is maybe RHEL does a configuration a little bit differently. Maybe there's something different about the way it's compiled. But the main thing that changes is you're no longer running CentOS Linux signed packages. Instead, you're running RHEL signed official packages. And so what's really nice about this is that it's all in place. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes on average. And now Convert2RHEL, with the latest version, actually does a pre-conversion analysis. So if you run the Leap tool, you know that you can run an analysis. I speak for a living. You can run an analysis and basically say, and the system will report back, hey, there's these inhibitors, you might need to uninstall this package, or there might be some highly concerning workloads like custom repositories, where the conversion tool will say, hey, I don't know what this repository is, you might want to disable it for the conversion just to not run into issues. So now we've had that in Leap for a couple of years now, but now we've got that in the Convert2RHEL tool as well. And beyond that, get this, you can actually register CentOS Linux 7 systems with Insights. And now Insights can do pre-conversion analysis at scale. So it's not a one-for-one. You can register these CentOS Linux 7 systems and do pre-conversion and then pre-upgrade analyses using Insights actions. So it's really cool. We're going to have some demos about that here in the near future. But like Nate said, we usually try and talk for about half an hour, and we've had some really interesting interviews. But what I want to do next is I want to transition over to a demonstration. I want to talk about how even on AWS, you can use our Convert2RHEL utility to move from CentOS Linux 7 to RHEL 7. I'll walk you through the demo. It's about 5-6 minutes. It's pre-recorded because I don't know if you noticed, but we're on a show floor, so bandwidth is kind of a concern. So I didn't want to try and do this live on the air. It's also a 20-minute demonstration with a lot of package downloads and verifications and whatnot. And then we'll talk a little bit about the third-party Linux migration offering. Maybe we could grab some of our coworkers to answer a few questions to wrap up our time. So before I switch to the demo, did we have any questions in chat? Okay. So forgive me here as I kind of switch windows. There we go. So don't judge me for my MacBook. I didn't particularly want to bring my Fedora workstation as a carry-on the airplane. Figured that might not go over well. But So what we're looking at here is the standard interface for AWS EC2. I've got one system running. I guess it helps if I actually start the demonstration. So we've got one instance running. I called it Convert2RHEL for ease. It's just a T3 medium. It's not running any workloads. There's no custom configurations. Just wanted a nice, clean build to go over and talk about that. So if you look, we've got our IP address. We've got some of our different stats. And notice that the platform is listed as CentOS Inferred. That's because I deployed it from the AWS Marketplace as a CentOS Linux 7 system. So now here's that third-party Linux migration offering that I mentioned. I'll talk more about it here in a little bit, but it's really easy. It gives you all the information, all the details about it. Then you can actually set this contract up right from the console. And so once you start, once you view your purchase options, you can set auto renew. So it'll actually go in and renew every month. I set that to no because I didn't want to file the expense report. Set the number of vCPUs. The system only has 2. So we're going to confirm, and we're going to pay upfront for that subscription. It'll actually give you a link to some additional resources, some videos about how to get started with RHEL on and Red Hat on AWS. Now, as you can see, nothing up my sleeve. We're actually running a CentOS Linux 7 box. This is no trick. So now first step is we need the Convert2RHEL utility. So we've got to enable the repository. You pull down the .repo file. You download the signing keys, the GBG keys. I mean, notice that the Convert2RHEL repository is now enabled. So let's go ahead and install the package. Once Convert2RHEL is installed, that's it. We're ready to go. Actually, step 0 would be make sure your CentOS Linux 7 system is updated to the latest minor with all of the needed updates as well. That will give you a smoother experience. Then you just run the Convert2RHEL utility. You can use your organization ID that you can get from Red Hat Insights or the customer panel. And then the activation key name. I use the TAC-Y to accept all of the defaults. First thing is it'll show you the EULA, the end user license agreement. I highly encourage you not to read that during your outage. Do that, beforehand. And so now what it's going to start doing is it's going to go through your whole system. It's going to take an inventory of what your packages are, what kernel modules you have available, what repositories are enabled on that system. It's going to give you a look. It's going to go package by package. And then, actually right here, perfect timing. Your system will then reach out to Red Hat Access and register itself using either your username or password or your organization key or your I keep knocking it off. And then it'll register your system. So the next step here is it's going to check to make sure that it has access to all the necessary repositories. So all the RHEL 7 base operating system repos, any of the add-ons that you might have added, and then it'll go and disable all the repositories that are enabled on that system. So far, we've made 0 changes to our system. So even up till this point, you can still go in and back out if you need to without causing any permanent changes. So now you notice it's going through and it's checking to make sure that any kernel modules that were installed currently or any kernel modules that RHEL requires to run are available. And next, you're going to start seeing, after the kernel, you'll start seeing it check package after package after package. And so what that does is that's just building that inventory. If you're using DNF or Yum, it's basically going through and making sure it's going through and picking out all the packages, all the dependencies, both soft and hard. So it's kind of the same thing here. And then you get this last warning that says, hey, we haven't made any changes yet, but now we're going to. So last chance to back out. Of course, I used the TAC-Y option, so it just said yes to everything. So now it's actually building that transaction. It's actually using Yum or DNF in the background to move that forward. So now it's going to install some 400 to 500 packages. That's why it's pre-recorded, because no one wants to watch me try and download packages over conference internet. But you notice the kernel, you notice SE Linux. Now it's going through only 364 packages. How about that? Now it's cleaning up old packages. Yeah. So what it's going to do is... Say again? We've got a few minutes here, so if you want to read out the question.
Sure. So in chat, Aaron asked, Eric, can you register CentOS 7 instances in AWS to Insights as well?
So yes, you can register CentOS Linux 7 systems with Insights. The only difference is that doesn't give you any of the other services for Insights. It only gives you access to the Convert2RHEL tools. So right now we've got the pre-conversion analysis task, and here in the near future we're going to have bulk in-place conversions as well. So when you register those CentOS Linux 7 systems, where'd my mouse go? There we go. So when you register those CentOS Linux 7 systems with Insights, it's a very, very limited experience. But the good news is, once you do the conversion and they're RHEL and they're registered, then you have access to the full suite of Red Hat Insights tools. Did I answer that completely? Okay. All right, so what we saw, and that question was perfectly timed because that got us through the installation, verification, and cleanup, is the system will then reboot. And once it reboots, it's going to boot out of the CentOS environment, and that will no longer be available. But as you notice, in fact, I timed it really well. How about that? As you notice, it may not have any CentOS Linux booted images anymore, but what it does have is older versions of the RHEL kernel based on what was already installed on CentOS Linux. So that becomes very helpful in that if there's something off about the latest RHEL kernel and your workload, you can actually try and boot into one of the older kernel versions just in case as a test. So that is built in. And hopefully, as a good sysadmin, you've got all your systems backed up. So if you do run into an issue, you can just revert to a snapshot.
Well, obviously, I saw you do the backup at the beginning.
Yeah, we totally did. This wasn't a random demo machine that I didn't bother
You don't
backing
back up your demo machines?
No, not usually.
Oh, maybe I should stop doing that.
That's what I have image builder blueprints for.
There you go.
All right, so our system has rebooted, and we're going to boot into the latest boot image that is RHEL. It's going to boot up. We're going to see some AWS things, then the usual RHEL systems, RHEL systemd services that are going to start up. We got our IP address, and now we can log in. Disregard the username. The CentOS Marketplace image comes with CentOS as a user, and it's a demo machine, so I didn't change that.
Why doesn't it change the user along
Maybe
with
it
the
should.
conversion?
We should add that as a feature enhancement.
No, it should not touch any of our configuration, Eric. That is the right answer.
And so now, okay, engineering, if you're watching, I feel like this needs some kind of ASCII art or some kind of fanfare when you boot into RHEL the first time.
Some ASCII fireworks would be awesome.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because the best way to tell if it was successful is when you boot back in and you log in, cat the etc Red Hat release file, and I'll do it myself. Ta-da! We're running RHEL 7.9.
What's that?
So now that we've rebooted, we're running RHEL 7.9.
Are you sure? Can you show us that? Oh, you did show us that. Look at that. It's
That's
right
what
there.
I'm saying. We need some ASCII fireworks.
We totally need fireworks. There needs to be, something, some kind of fanfare.
Yeah, I definitely think so. So what do you think? You think a systems administrator can manage that?
I think that's an awesome tool. Hold on, let me get a switch back to.
So one of the things, if
A
I
better
know that
view
was
here
that
instead
was a
of just
quick
watching the video.
right that was a quick 6-minute walkthrough of a process. But we've got tech tip videos on our YouTube channel, and we have a self-paced lab that does exactly this. In fact, I copy and pasted all the commands that I used for the demo right out of our lab.
So I mean, as a sysadmin, if I'm running a bunch of CentOS 7. This tool is going to be a lifesaver, or it could be a lifesaver.
For sure.
Obviously, there's other routes to get to RHEL, but to be able to take a running system and convert it in place to a supported RHEL system, which can then be upgraded to a newer version of a RHEL, that's pretty great. That's going to save a lot of sysadmins a lot of time, and a lot of headaches, and a lot of migraines.
Right, for sure. And a lot of Saturdays.
And a lot of Saturdays.
So, I mean, one of the things to think about is your upgrade plan is going to look a little bit like a bell curve. You may have 5% of your systems that you realize you can just shut down. You don't need them anymore. And then on the other extreme, you may be adding new workloads that you can build on RHEL 8 or RHEL 9. But in the middle, you're going to have a whole bunch of systems that will be able to use this tool with very little effort. In fact, if you've got a web server that's just basic HTTP, which is hopefully secured by a certificate, but if it's just basic like HTML, it's...
Of course it would be, otherwise Google won't index it anymore.
That's fair. But if you've got just a basic web server, a LAMP stack or something, or a limp stack if you're using Nginx. Those are great candidates for doing in-place conversions. If you want to try something in dev and QA and up to production, break up your environment on ease of conversion, because the more complicated your build is going to be, the more chances you're going to run into trouble. Not that you're going to run into technical issues, but I mean, it's like anything else. The more complex it is, the harder it's going to be to change anything.
Right.
So look at it as a bell curve. Pick out the easy targets. Schedule some decommissions. Build out some new RHEL 9 boxes. Some things may have to be rip and replace, but that's going to be a small percentage of your environment based on how your systems are built.
I mean, the important thing to remember is that CentOS 7 was so similar to RHEL 7 that there really is low risk here, right?
Right.
I mean, all the binaries were effectively the same.
Right.
Maybe not the same. Very, 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 very similar, right?
Yeah.
So that's why this conversion tool is that's why it works, and that's why it's so foolproof.
So we mentioned Lifecycle right before the demo, and so some people may be good with calendar math and realize that, wait a minute, if I do a Convert2RHEL, that puts me on RHEL 7, but RHEL 7 is going end of maintenance on June 30th of next year. Well, what do I do? Well, the nice thing is we have an offering, and you saw the offering page. It's called the Red Hat Enterprise Linux for third-party Linux migrations with extended lifecycle support. Let that sink in a moment. That's a lot of words to say that if you're running a non-RHEL system that's RHEL-like, like CentOS, or we're in public. I won't mention some of the others.
Just pick one. We do have another question in the chat if you want that.
Sure.
All right, so what happens if the Convert2RHEL tool sees custom application code? Will it leave it alone, or will it kill the process?
Well, and that's one of the real reasons to use the pre-conversion analysis that came out with, what was it, Convert2RHEL 0.14? I feel bad because I don't remember what version. But the latest version of Convert2RHEL has that pre-conversion analysis tool. Run that first, and then you'll be able to see what Convert2RHEL sees with that custom code. But basic guidance is disable that workload from running, so it won't boot up on so it won't start up on boot. Then shut that service down before you start the conversion process. That is the safest way, and most likely, if the Convert2RHEL tool doesn't recognize a code stack, it won't touch it. But that is definitely something that would show up in a pre-conversion analysis.
So there was sort of a follow-up to that.
Sure.
They had issues with an application, and they did a leap upgrade, and the application didn't survive the upgrade. Now, that's a whole different ball of wax, because a leap upgrade is upgrading the software. It's upgrading all of the libraries.
Your kernel versions, your Python libraries, everything.
Believe it or not, there's a lot more change that occurs in a leap upgrade than a Convert2RHEL.
Right.
And Eric, I have some bad news.
Oh, no.
Your wife's in chat.
Hello, sweetheart. So it's funny. I used to host the Pseudo Show podcast, and it became a running joke, both with my wife and with my co-host, to see if I can mention her in every episode. So hello, Cynthia. I love you. But she's checking in on me.
Yeah.
But
is he really in Vegas? Is he really doing live streams?
Yes, I'm really here. So one of the things to think about is lifecycle, and what I was alluding to with that bell curve is what happens if people are calendar savvy. They got to realize that if I do a Convert2RHEL to RHEL 7.9, but wait, RHEL 7 is actually going to end up in extended lifecycle support on June 30th, technically July 1st. So what do I do? Are we setting them up for failure? I mean, if they convert to RHEL 7, then they're just doomed, right?
I know, right? Like, big deal. I got to RHEL 7, but RHEL 7 support is ending as well, right? Well, we have good news for that, too.
So we mentioned before the demo that there was a Red Hat Enterprise Linux for third-party Linux migrations with extended lifecycle support. Melissa just walked away, or she'd be really proud. I got that in one breath.
You did. That's a good job. Good job.
So what's good to know about this third-party Linux migration offering is you can actually go from CentOS Linux 7 to RHEL 7, and that includes 1, 2, or 4, maybe 3. Anyway, anywhere between 1 to 4 years of extended lifecycle support, ELS.
I think it's 2 or 4.
Is it 2 or 4?
I think it's 2 or 4. I could be wrong. Maybe it's just 2. We should have done some research on our own products before we started this.
I know it's 2, and I know it's 4. I don't know about odd numbers. It's 1, 2, 4?
1 to 4. Good.
Okay, there we go.
See, it's a good thing we brought 90 Red Hatters with us. Somebody has the answer.
Right. 96 Red Hatters at this event of 65,000 people. So with this offering, it's heavily discounted. So you get your RHEL subscription with everything included, from Identity Manager to Insights. You can get the HA add-on. So all that's included, heavily discounted, and you can get 1 to 4 years, 1, 2, 3, or 4 years of extended lifecycle support. So what does that mean? That means that once you do the Convert2RHEL, you get all the benefits of being a Red Hat customer for up to 4 years after June 30th. So you could keep running those systems until 2028. Quick caveat though, that doesn't include really any bug fixes. Only the most critical of security patches will get addressed, but at least your systems will be supported. If you're running RHEL 7.9, you can even open support cases, and that buys you up to 4 years of time to figure out, okay, I'm in the Red Hat ecosystem, I'm supported, my workloads aren't going to just shut down, and I'll just be upstream without a paddle.
And really, the important thing to remember is, with a system that old, the thing that truly is important is those security fixes.
Yes.
Right? So you might be saying, oh, but I'm getting a limited set of packages.
Right.
It's the important ones. It's the ones you should care about.
Now, does that mean you sit around and wait for 4 years before you do anything?
No.
Great answer.
You buy ELS and you start planning a migration.
Yes. And what's nice is you can move that discounted offering into a full-blown subscription at any time. So if you convert to RHEL 7 and you get off of CentOS and you don't have to worry about that end date, what's nice is you've got a few options. You can do an in-place upgrade to RHEL 8, or you can then do a rip and replace to RHEL 8, or you can move your workloads to my personal favorite, RHEL 9. So you've got options. You've got a ton of options. In fact, if you've got RHEL 7, you can start environment by environment, shutting down old environments and spinning them up on RHEL 8 or RHEL 9, whether as RPMs or as containers. It gives you a lot of time to start planning. So you've got a safety net. Use it. And I don't want to use specific numbers, but I heard it's about a 50-ish% discount. It's close to half. I don't have the exact number, but I mean it's significantly discounted. And that the nice thing is that works on bare metal, virtual, AWS. I think we just announced Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure is coming. So a lot of the major platforms already support this migration offering. So take advantage of it now, because that is going to buy you a lot of time to figure out what do we do next. Get used to Red Hat tools. If you're going to use Red Hat Satellite, you've got some time to spin that up and start registering systems. Get used to the new workflows. If you want an automation controller, there's an Ansible automation platform that you can look at. There's just so many things you can do. And in fact, that's a great time to send your systems administrators to Red Hat training. Get an RHCSA, get an RHCE, get those certifications so you feel comfortable with the tool set while you've got that time. So Nate, all right, Nate's typing in chat.
It's not another question, just a quick follow-up.
Okay. So we've got about 6 minutes left in our live stream. So if anybody wants to come up and say a couple words, we've had an audience that's kind of dwindled a little bit, but we've got a bunch of Red Hatters that are here. So if you'd like to comment, if you want to be Red Hat famous, I'm sure there's hundreds of people that'll watch this episode. But Nate, do we have any questions? Of course, I just realized that I actually have the chat pulled up. It's just on a different window.
Scott just jumped in. He's answering questions for us, so we're good.
Oh, thank you, thank you,
Thank you,
chat.
Scott.
Is it chatbot Scott or is it actual Scott?
I don't know if there's a difference.
So Nate, any closing thoughts?
It's honestly just, this is a heck of a conference. I mean, there's so much to do. If you've got a full conference pass, it's almost impossible to decide where to go next. I'm almost relieved that I'm kind of locked in the booth and don't really have to think about it. I just have to get up, get something to eat, come here.
Yep. Yeah.
But,
although some of us have to walk 2 miles to get to the conference, and that's just going from one hotel to the other.
If you're an attendee, though, there's so much to do, so much to see, so much to learn. There's a lock-picking challenge across the aisle from us.
Yeah, I was going to take a stab at that.
I did not expect a lock-picking challenge at AWS reInvent, but there it is.
There you go. So plenty to do. If you're catching us remote, definitely put some comments into the video. Let us know that you like the content. Make sure to like and subscribe. I've got some sad news, Nate.
What's that?
This is actually the last episode of RHEL Presents for the year.
I mean, you got to blame all those holidays, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, here in 2 weeks, a whole bunch of us are going to be at the Red Hat Tower doing some 2024 planning. I think Scott, Nate, and Brian and I will be doing some planning for this show. We've got some really awesome episodes coming up. I actually reached out to some of my old coworkers at GitLab, and we're going to have a running GitLab on RHEL episode. I know we've got
Nice.
some Podman content coming up. We'll be meeting with our containers PM to talk about Podman and what's coming there. We've also got an episode right after the first of the year where we'll be talking to the Red Hat consulting team. So we mention them often, but we've never talked to any of them live, which now I realize maybe we need a support engineer as well. Talk about support and consulting.
That might not be a bad idea.
I
Get
mean,
Tam on, too, while you're at it.
Oh, well, we actually did. Was it JSCAR? No, it wasn't JSCAR. We did have a TAM right before you joined the team, I think.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe right after.
Was it me? Before I joined the team?
Maybe it was. Maybe that's why we hired you. So we've got a lot of great content coming up in 2024. But there's one more episode, one more live stream, and it's Into the Terminal. You want to tell us about it?
Yep, we're going to have a fun live stream to close out the year for Into the Terminal on messing with your coworkers.
Wait, we're going to blow up people's systems?
Well, we're probably going to draw the line at blowing up systems, but, simple things like setting your login to SBIN no login to see how long it takes you to figure out how to get back in.
Wait, I used to take screenshots of people's desktops, hide all the icons on Windows. Can I do that in Linux?
Probably not. I mean, isn't no login kind of the same thing?
Pretty much. Although far more infuriating, I'm
But
sure.
you better watch out. I'm going to put tape on your mouse.
I'm not going to comment as to whether some of these were real life examples or if it was things we made up. Well, we should put a disclaimer at the top of the show.
All right, so
But,
we're almost out of time, Eric. I'm going to go do the OBS stuff. You want to
check and make sure we don't have any last minute questions as we wrap this up. As I said, please like and subscribe to this content.
Scott waves to us robotically.
Hi, Scott. So yeah, definitely like this episode, please. It helps put some oil on the YouTube SEO engine, and tell a friend. I was going to say we'll be live next episode back in our regular studios, but that'll be next year. So probably back on our regular schedule next year. But hope you all have happy holidays. If you're here in Vegas, come stop by booth 634 and definitely like and subscribe to this content.
Come get a hat.
Yeah, we've got plenty of hats, so come grab them while they last. Otherwise, come join us next spring at Red Hat Summit. It'll be in Denver, Colorado. I imagine with how popular these have been, we'll be bringing the hats back, I hope. But other than that, thank you all for joining us. Thank you to our live audience. In fact, some of the product manager input that helped us through some of the more technical details. But thank you all for joining us live. If you didn't get a RHEL t-shirt, make sure to grab one before you leave the booth. For those of you joining us online, thank you so much for being a part of this. The RHEL live streaming program wouldn't be a success without you. And on behalf of Stu, Katie, my co-host Nate Lager, and myself, Eric the IT Guy Hendricks, and the entire Red Hat Enterprise Linux team, and AWS reInvent. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time.